I've been working with Robert Cruz for the last couple of years with a group of my graduate students. And we've been talking about what might be useful as a way to proceed with language revitalization for the O'odham Nation. And Robert felt that it would be good if all of the materials that are already available for the language were accessible, and if we could do it in a way that would appeal to youth, and that means we think using technology. So we were proposing to make a website that would link to all the dictionaries that are currently available and all the material that's already been written. And to that, we would add, because we're a Department of Linguistics, uh, a teaching grammar and pedagogical materials, and it would have a wiki type component where people could add their own things, stories and pictures and videos and histories, um, and lesson plans, whatever community members or teachers have been doing, that would be available on the web, so that the very large reservation could all access the same amount of materials and have them easily available in the community.
Mr. Cruz, who is a member of the Tohono O'odham Nation, who also gave the presentation based on his involvement, and again, you made it very clear how important he wanted to bring this proposal to the Four Tribes meeting. But again, how much different would it be where what you're proposing to the Four Tribes versus what's already available uh, in the institutions as far as linguistic is concerned?
Uh, well, there are dictionaries, and there's a lovely grammar by Ophelia Zepeda, but not all of these things are available in every part of the community. So if it were on the web, it would be more easy to access, especially for, I think, folks who live in Mexico. And in our group, there's quite a few of us. There are native Spanish speakers, so everything could be translated into Spanish for that part of the reservation as well. And uh, Mr. Cruz has an incredible amount of energy and enthusiasm for working on language revitalization to make sure that the heritage language is maintained in the community, and we are his support staff. I've been working on language revitalization efforts for about 30 years now, and the students involved are all doctoral students, and they all have experience as well. And we're all very excited and delighted to be able to be here today, and really feel honored that the four tribes were willing to listen to our proposal.
Now, are there other tribes that you've been working with that have supported it, or perhaps maybe even implemented it in place in from their respective tribes?
Yes, we're currently working on a web-based project at Nambe Pueblo in New Mexico, which would include grammar and dictionary and history and lesson plans and materials. And we've made a lot of materials, and we have the dictionary maybe half done right now, and it's on the web, not printed because they don't want the language to leave their community. But I've also worked with the Jicarilla Apache in northern New Mexico, and we did a dictionary with them, which was printed 3 years ago by University of New Mexico Press, and the press agreed to publish not very many copies, but to give them the bulk of them to the tribe at cost. So that was now a resource that the tribe has.
This has been an issue that it even was even raised after the presentation was over because it opened it up to the tribal leaders, and one of the things that was addressed was protecting your how would it be protected if it was allowed to be endorsed and to allow, because again it would benefit the young people, those and even elder people who either have lost the language or don't really know what other resources are available out there as far as language is concerned. But again, addressing the whole issue of protecting your proposal, and
Yes.
if you could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think this is a really serious issue, and one that's important to most indigenous groups is they are not happy to think of the language going out of the community, not happy to think of it. Somebody mentioned it being taught at a university in another state, and this felt wrong somehow. So what we were hoping to do is to make a website that belongs to the O'odham Nation, that would be copyrighted by the nation, and would be password protected. So one of the fears is that even if it's password protected, it could be hacked. And I think we would spend a lot of time making sure that it was as difficult to do as we could make it, so that it would be just for the nation. And have not published anything from the Pueblo, and would never do that because they don't want it. And I think we would be happy to give any assurance we could that we would keep whatever we learned as part of this project not made public. That it would be solely the what goes onto the website and how it's handled would be completely under the control of the community rather than any of us outsiders.
And the statistics brought to the attention of the tribal leaders. How does that compare with the other tribes? Is that somewhat the same, based on individuals who speak the language, percentage-wise? Is that kind of like the same problem that's also going on with the other tribes that you mentioned?
Yes.
Because it says something if in fact the tribes are going to really seriously have to think about wanting to support or even endorse your proposal. So if
Yes.
you could, statistics-wise, is that somewhat um that is ongoing with the other tribes that you mentioned?
Yes, for all of these tribes, for all of the indigenous groups in the United States now, all of those languages are endangered. The one that is the most distant from extinction is perhaps Navajo, but even Navajo young kids are not growing up monolingual in the language anymore. Everybody speaks English, and that's the way it is across the country. So the statistics that we showed, I think it was the highest level of knowledge of the language was like 46%. Uh, and it is largely people over a certain age who are fluent in the language. And when the kids are not speaking the language, then you can expect not to see the language anymore. And this is heartbreaking for everybody. I never learned the native language of my grandparents, so it's something that is deep for me in my heart. That heritage language is very important to maintain. It's a sense of it provides a sense of identity, and it has the beauty and the wisdom of our ancestors in it. Uh, we are thinking that any materials that we could provide can be helpful. And we saw a presentation by the Youth Council here today, which was incredibly inspiring to see young people working so hard on their language. One of the things that we were hoping to do with this project is to develop programs so that kids can use their iPhones or their smartphones to text to one another in O'odham as opposed to in English. So to increase the areas in which the language can be used and to make it more fun and more relevant for young people seems like an aim for us that might be worthwhile.
Just ja Robert Cruz mahai hau mat ya tata mat amai chei hatasho four tribes meeting here at the casino da bawi tak Robert Cruz kam ha matasi masama mo ingo sa kunyo amamui amo tam. So again, Robert, I'm excited. Hatasho kumach kam matas just ya tata matyachi is a my poem ma poem chipkan matam mam tagam just o New Mexico.
Okay, how manyonya mashtam ame matpamat kukur hamashtam akudan be hian joni kukurit shaba pinerdent kikom shainye mas hasjut ita manyamo moit ita doctoral degree good educational linguistics kashaba ami nye makya mandami samai itam just history of Indian education ita educational linguistics studies samok or tam language or tam nyok huhukim humu itam ar mot huttaspahitak 46%. Asint pamasama boche O'odham 46% kasaba wamak akimar O'odham 23%. Hukachik O'odham nyok. Kukachat pa abucho mo baga idam linguistics studies or academics language shift. She kahi ioyo ita O'odham nyok. Hukamhawi American nyok. Como ai ko pa bucho ame ima mo kuchuch kam am tupi ha chukchen. She kahi ioyo hukui chu kam nyok. Language shift kuch aburit animo puch hai man puch ma papkai jamat matinyo ma bihi ko am just University of New Mexico mach aburit matamiko hasi masamo uhumo ikauhkamo ita O'odham nyok kuch kuch hukamap sachoni ita matpaichut web-based O'odham language revitalization and O'odham language revitalization project and shaba manya samach mo gaur kaitam nan ko haichu aka O'odham kunya nanya pakama samachuchu makina o kach O'odham nyok kach ohana ikukamun shaba mechanical brain but pochi huke computer machaguda hapchamasanato ita O'odham nyok ikukamun matato hukudo ihima chaguda matpaba the World Wide Web kashaba matanasi skauka mo ukchit ita mata humo hukachik yah kamo ya hukuda O'odham web-based language project kuchamas amichada mo nan ko kaida mai chuagak akimar O'odham onak akimar O'odham kamu aiko mo dupa hai chapaaga American shit mountain pimas kch tohtakon chuhur kch kokororiti kuch ama paurita mo hagama taunyaka ita nyok hagama O'odham kashaba matpotacha da matpiomai hai American ok chicha no kuchuchka matpiomai ita uhura nyok korodi nyok pakita no puachuk yah matsuina mano hai chabuaga password protected mataguda sahpa mo yako shaba community O'odham nyok imumach kamhukumadoga makumato mo chukchit ida password sohai dada mamto amo ha hiyo kama tudia isamache mikita umenyok
Humus koi no pi mo ya hai oe poko ta mo mka ma ta mas ma apa mas ma itu mai mo mu no mai ji itu mo ta mas mu sia hu ma pa mi ha mu nyo ke to su ke am je su mo na ko ma ti ji ka mas ma ma wi itu no mai ji ka mo ta ma pa mu ke hu ma nyo
hukuman tawa menyo Mashit Tohono O'odham Human Resource Development Committee matpagamatukam mo nanyo kut ka O'odham mashchama hukumarut schools jit ka amja tukamupanye at tukamu akimur Gila River Governing Center hukam mashit 4 tribes culture resource protection committees amahai tata itam Tohono O'odham humachkam ka kuchamachonya kita mas ma kita mo ko mo hai chik O'odham sata nyok mahap kai chu ko machik mo ya po wow sit ka anyo to nyok ita ko ni pisai hoi to mata Americano hukach ita O'odham nyok anyo de nyonyaka ki thu hamanye de Americano mo sistoha American chasha pa kai Katai O'odham chapu ni machini tit amjet ka humak par ox ka ba ka mish ohana uakch papa an uakchuke ohanak chashabab chinyatut amjut tayo nita O'odham nyak ku pishain ho haita chabakai anya burita mo achama tai tuniga piosha hiu ka mirakan ka shaba manyap kai chao ma chahukyo ka huke mo O'odham apchuche mas satag nya kai chut intellectual property rights mat pukchum pihoid mat o hupuhi property rights ka nya shaba manyap kai chumok humo itanakai ka human rights ka the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, Article 13, 14, 31, more specific, Article 12, which 13 of Chuik, the indigenous peoples have the right to develop and revitalize their language and protect their culture. Kunya nyaburit manyapakai amawi humu ita juni kita mo ptap achum matonyu kutak ha human rights itam ar mo pai chihim o mo ptoi chihim idam bumsi ma bi wa ko tas pai ta gi ma bi ta pai ha so chu itam ar na ta mo hukach it ita o ta minyoka na ta bo chu ma ta mo huk ha pio hai chu ka ita o ta minyoka
kaso chu ka mata mas ma mi u mata bosra chik o tam humach ka mo masap mo masap mamta mas ma mo isona ke chipkan ke tahia o mo ke mata ke council sapa mata ke mamasi has mas ma mo amoy nu ich ka ta bosra chik council pi ta mo haso chu I ke mas pi mas has mas pio hi ke taso chu ke taso chu ke chipkan
hai choya so hai thai idam communities ame waki gamo hai chapkai so hai ta tachuch mo idam ar mo menyanya kom hop kai jama shamanye idam at pakau chuni mek chuat ya himak fiber optics am tui digitizing we want to digitize our culture mo hop kai chagam mo menyanya ka gamo chi chumach ka kasaba achum ka tumach kam puicham sapa matam shamuh ka pai choi nye ita shat masama po chuka po hawo mat ita mar ka cham sku ka cham hawo ka ita mo ba ka cognitive development mas masama satat chai chuk nye chka ka wuchi chumach ka wa ma pa ka tumach kam mo chui ka o tam hamach kam mo manyap kai cha shakahi I o ya kamira ka na nyo ka hai ka chu ka manyo amasapa matamo una ko asanyanya shin cha o ka ka chonyita ita chu de mas in oya po kumach kam chap tui hai chu pai chu tanyo na achum amai chu ma chu Hagatuke intellectual property much koi ani nyo jit how vamos a banyo po batada kai achmo to tamanyo matap kai je kanyo rikuri but tap tu ki to mai ko tamanyo cha shapa mo pchui kmanya masama manye to mo pi o tamanyo nya ko tama amki cha americano hai chuch kamanyo ko cha a buri tamo mat sku ga ida mat ga jap sem kai je mat tum so manato ke mat apo hani ke hukam 5-year-olds 10-year-olds 15-year-old 20 40 50-year-old o tam konye hus oi sap ha senyo ke ga o tam nyo hus oi sami che te ko tam nyo manyap kai je mo hai itamo tam to wapker height nan ko masama chipkan man chuk to matap chuch egin ni tatare but him ka be buk shakim to be mas ya nan ko hai chu anash si bu not either not either so sku kama po pe kam tamo po ke shak ka nya ba ok pirin ita nan ko imas o tam language proficiency ka tpa ba Matamo stadrinye mohimich ita O'odham nyok. Usit jos amichudat mohasjabaaga kutuno kamo ichusha ita O'odham intellectual development. Matta kuo samachka tuk nyok. Usa samachka tuk haichu ushinim. Hachuchiki mohasat aga. Kuchu hukap sachunim ki the website. O'odham everyday phrases, O'odham calendar. I'm just my chabuaga links much pasa masama no piana high sugar YouTube good computers good kunaksik pima o tamabaga shit muy samachim kahon washe good computer ma webkait shit computer so matuma moi tu matka moi Amoy tuwa mo apach shacho tuki kchugi kamat sapo hukach itu the new terminology macham bachuni mi mat poshas hoy ko tam
ya hu much mo ke ma pa mo pa ka mo ya ma pa mo ya mo ya hai o pa ko tam mo mas mam chip kan ma pa mas mam chip kan mo che sa pe ka mo tam mo ka mo ki nation Tohono tam ke mai mo ya pa mas tam pi ya chuk son ka mas pa mas tam mas tam am chit ma pas mas ma am tam sa chunyam ka chip kan am ha che ko tam kita manyamah apa mas sakaso ju mas bosa ju mas hukuk cuma mas council apa wi tak tu ke ma pa mas paso isu junyam ke I tamah pa mo apa ke ma pam cuma sejunyam ke mau je ke humat kam
how nasia hai hap chuchi pio hoy ka shaba utama basikia mut ama chuni ma good world wide web manai hanye tam o matai ha ponyo ko tam ku hai up ku chicken scratch oira websites mon up yuhak ch wam ku muy hai ch mon ch kita linguistic journals articles mon the good internet ku machaburi tam tus hoi huma pa ku dia tacho the mato bai choi mai ita o tamanyo como has masama ab ka chuk o tam hai chu kai ta como sounds of o tam ka grammar mas sa o hanya sa ka pe machama bu pnye da mo amai 15% ko tam humach kam mo ko higa mo te ku ga mo sama chama ta sama mo 15% compared to higa mo chu chama which is too much kam higa mi pe mo jai has u ka higa ita 15% 10% 8% higa mo to which
mata miu se ke Danny Lopez ba ma pa mo a ma pu ke petai a ta ke mas ma am junyam ke chip kan ma pa mo ba ke te ka mo pi u sa te pi ta ma Saxon just ke to hui Albert Alvarez but masih early te ke so mas ma ka ke ka chip kan ma pa ma junyam ke chip kan a pi hu
ke pomo matari hake ke hatachi hake ma O'odham ta ma che ke kuri hake ma kuri but ke chashaba ama hai pa human che ke O'odham chamaro te dictionary glossary boaka mat pa mo ka ame Berkeley, California ke 1751 mat ke na ma o ke chu ka ma O'odham New kai chu o tamai chu aga huma pa bui ke akimaro tam dictionary but ba pa glossary 1851 huma 1955 jam just huma manya chuk either thumb drive flash drive mon the Madeline Mathieu dictionary it's a 2-volume gawk on 2 volumes Kundam up Shan lo che am si caps si capi kap mo pka ka hu mo uchu ape Tohono O'odham Community College ke anai chu ke shaba machap uri the mato hawum haboju either collaborate hawum ke universities O'odham Community College akimur O'odham usko wono ke shaba mo Wupaka bohaka O'odham no mas hoi da no bihoi ke bihoi bugi kamas aput pumsaik different community pumsik hu ra so pumsik kokorori ti so shaba at least matuko hukka chuki mohasjuti hatachuk O'odham communities O'odham humachka tribal council yeah you know hukka patanya ke matambo I sohit ke amoha aki ke humachka nya ito chuni ma be University of New Mexico tam matuma benyaka ka taso chu napto amo inato ke maschama napta masho itakto nya bag pe pin tukito ha so hukka chita O'odham nyak chuma tukito huk chuma kito hukka chita O'odham nyak shaba ama chipkana ka shaba itam O'odham tukam mat amo muricho that ita O'odham website
porque oi ka no mai tu ti ma ta mo po sai ha ta so ka ma ka mo ma pa mo a ka mo si sa sai cho ma u ti ka ma ka ma pa mas ma pa ka ma u ti ka u ti ma ka ma u ha ma ta mo ya ma pa ka ma ka ma ta si mas ma mi nyo ka nyo ba mas ma itam hai ma ta ba ya ta no mai tu ti Robert
how muy o hai chut ita it's a challenge ban pochi ko it ida mata po oit ka po wi kukya ita mata uchu ita americana mascha mata humo hap kai je ko akimero tham akimero tham lady hap kai cha wana kanya ta banya mascha ka hu Phoenix at po biak washatka ka tamascha madam mach O'odham nyonya como ito has como chukut about stand on one leg ke tasha mo kugokat on one leg ke ma ko kayo ka mo kugokat at kukok ke mach ke O'odham hai cha ma pchuch uta cham pe ma chi American nyo ko no ka shabast ku hukam ta chui ji hukam American mo matam si pu ku ita O'odham nyo the judge the good mo matab chuni kam ha sa nyo pawi ke mama te ke mo pihoi the matapa po o ta te sko ka ba mas ma kut mat pa ma chu I escuela ta ba hukyo ma te escuela ka mas ma kut chuk shona ke mas ma tam ka ke o tamui Tohono tamui mat pa ma chmo tam ka chai cha Ai patai ki I chura ke orish bakut ke close pin up orish nyanya dat ab ak trabotakat nyak chuk for the whole class am ta ke skok chap kai ja mi ha so class and that I nye ke ni put tre ku am ai ke nyakonyo tak so you know pums it ida mach matkuch ku pu ku ita O'odham nyak kuch aburi the matamu mo kai chu ku sapa mo uri kunok mo haka ku kukur but hanyo ke mo na hai chu ku recordings mata no tunok sapo read ko study ko analyze ka mo puik the intellectual O'odham development ku samach ka ku O'odham nyok O'odham philosophy ku upo na chu I'm just how am mo sata O'odham nyok shaba okay attitude that language attitude I'm a supper you know we have a right to our secret language hi I'm a dahuke mo Matoanyukut. You don't have to put that on. Beach up a master map 30 the mamtano hak. Somebody give me or autumn prayers or autumn haichu what see us haichu. Be a no hak be picture. Which acham picaria tan. Machas 30 the matamo apachita. Ahpim autumn. Ama pochu ita. Ahpim at uminyok. Ahpim hapo. Ohanat John Yokat. Or will my computer not to be a more up either. Much I should interactive communication to go on computers.
Okay, come much ya huma Tohono O'odham Philip McGill masama Philip masa mapapkai masa matapai cai makap ke apa hunde itam matagag ya ji okay mata miu sat O'odham Nyok kita muito semach kapal macam chipkan maka itu munyunyo ke mata mas mi usas mas chip ke Muhammad Robert Cruz apa so O'odham sa macam dia ke rapi uri masa mas mua itu macam sejunyim kamau kita ke O'odham okay mana apa ke nyok ke cuma macam kamu pi usas mo mata apa macam hawa kita ke itu ya baik O'odham pak itu mai O'odham mo ke pi mak je akmal O'odham je on O'odham mau itu mai ke macam apa hawi tak to ke Tohono O'odham council mata boche amasa po pi apa mata mas mau boju amau itu ke macam apa mas mu itu pa pi tata ke uci macam yang zapau mu tak to mu mau saya tak
Ai ka wana kan se ka apka ita Robert mo be tio kam sa hai cha ka ta amanyai den tra ama ai wana ga me to December 3 ma cha mo hane ka ita ma 4 tribes abam zet ita mo ma to mo ka ita O'odham nyo dam hai him kaman awam ta aka mo chuni ke apa wana koi si semah masastu ma ka wana kan pi ta din yo ka pake dama kamo mati din ma bata pa hai na jerek tatper na ha ne mo kastu wo je dam bachot astu oi te kastu ma am chukto abam je di ta tamnya nya dan hasil ni am sa oi dem je pun de mata dia cuma tahu mah ke pakai je masa ke itu nyo enam kamu ke ba nikah ke nam to nak mau apa ni pakai cha mau sah ni ke amah ni di ta motor wus apa tu ke macam O'odham nyo mau no ke mau sa kai je mau si hai je mau ida te mah aistama cuma tuh punya mau tak cuma setelah kemarin tak ini mah bagi hudanya kau akhirnya macam mau ke wah here mah coba imsak regau rai jas mama agak sebab dah ke mas istama cut ya mama masa ni tu mata kamu iya mata apa meus ke meus dah amat makastu tu am de mamsa aga man pisi koi usupui bahama mau pakai mata maha eus kamar tasamo makastu am oit ita bambi de ko tamanya ta itam hamo mat ya hama pai itam us hama chika itam kokkan rik mo matasta itam muste chuma chika mo matasta mat ya ta ya hama pai hawo amaka mohas mama te si hai cho ita tania na ma ko pa I wo mo ke macam si wo si ame che macam si wo si tatta mama bani itam mo te ita mama man te che wo te mo si hai cho ita tasho tu de tas ma automat hasto mo automat hasto på det journey automat hasto mo hasto te ma Chinese ma ba ko ma po I wona ita mo po chunya hai cho ma I kau ke ita okay mo no ba ka ma tra ma kau da mas ma ba ga computer here sa kau da ma kai sa ba ta work seki ma ta ma ke na te ana po chu ke hai cho ke amo him te mo ba ma te pi a te mai mo de ram te to ita ma te pa te to mo pa se ka him ita mo te chama te ka
Okay, mata masma mi uusat ke Robert ma wa okay mata masma mi uusat ma mui te ko tam ma hu ki ma ko tam nyok ma ha pe no mui te ko mo tam nyok Amerika nyok hai pe mui sis ami te ko tam nyok uta ma mo ba ka man smash ma ka mo ma chip kan to no tam no ma wa masma ba ka Robert masma ujung ma ta ke Tohono O'odham
how muy West ma mai te ke pe ma chu ke ita mo ba ga American survey ma te noi ha kai mai ko ta ma sa si ma an nye tai chu ke ita ma ta ka ke ita o ta ma nyo nam se ke ta ma ki da ke na ma oi nyo ke chu ma ke sa ma ke te ko ta ma nyo ta sa ma ni u mo tu de ni ma ke ma ke chum se ke te ke o ta ma nyo wa ke ma mo chu ni ke mo su ke ma ke o ta na pi se ke ba ni sa ma ni da ni se je ma te ta mo te mo te ke mo America na ba ke ma na ke pa grandparents who ka te ma pe pa ma ni na ke mo de che te mo ke mo te mo sa mam mo ha mo etam ha che cha o mo pe mo si I him che ko ta ma ni ke mo si mo ma na sa che ke mo te sta pa sta ma chu da he mo kom si sa ma che ko ta si he ke etam mo ta sa ta ho ka mo pe si ke pi se ha ma te ma ke mo che ba o ya etam mo te ke ma che pi pa ma ni na ke mo che ba na si sa ma che ko ta ai ko pa ma che ita mo che ma pi si sa ma che ko ta ni ai pi pa ma ni na ke pa che hu o ka ko was che mo ba ke America linguistic generation gap pi mo se ke te ma ke gap mo I no ai ko sa ri chem te ma ke mo si ke te ko ta ita mo che pa ke si ke te ke mo pi ke ko ta wa ke mo ba ke Robert mo tu te ni ma ke mo ke mo pi si ke mo hu ke ma kam te ma ke mo ta ma na mo si ke ko ta ma na I ta ma ta po chun ka na ke cuma ke na po ke pai te ta sa o mo hi mo ba ke American dictionary. A dictionary will outlive the people that put it together. Well, either by Turkey, Mama Bagwas, and all either near, but get them Patrick. Actually, me a hook about the Patrick, okay,
okay Philip ta masma mi uusat ta masma mi uusat ta posa chu ta mosa so ke humach kam humach kam mas pupia ki uta ya o mata pawi tak to councils mo kama pa mas paso is junior ta posa chu Philip mas pio ho council sa piuli ke mata sa masma bo chu ke ma pi si sama mas mo chu ma ta ke kumach kam uta ya o ma chu si sama mo hu ki ma tenio que chama mas ma ba mas ma pi u so que ni que kai sa to chu que chama pis ami chu ti que mas ma u chu ni mas ba sa ti council pi ti ho pi so hiu mas ma mai so na chip kan que chama chama pa pi sa ta tenio mas ma pi u the Robert
how okay mà mong sa cái mà phải start tận nhớ here mongไปไหนก็ไปเจออินไปก็ไปเนี่ยมาsaนี่มาแต่มองสักแบบเด็ดมาตัวเกี่ยวกับปีจมาแต่มาฮัสปีปีคือมอนักแก่ให้จะคือเหมือนกับมอเธอมอสีหิ้วอ้อยแต่ก็ทำให้มันพอที่ traditional มอคือแต่มอเฮียมอแต่มาตัดก็นาฬิกาเดมอข้าวสมอว่าก็มอแต่เพื่อไปเชียโอ้คือไปแปลมอสีอ้อยแต่มาเนี่ยแต่มาเปรี้ยวห้อยก็จะว่าจะมาหม้ออาบมาจึกตัวก็หมดตัวนี้สตาร์จะหมดใจตัวก็ว่าห่อคือกี่บัดถ้าสดจูถ้ามาหม้อหามัสแต่ตัวหมอบต้อยชี้หมอบตะไปว่าตะไปจะไปว่าแต่ youth แต่ generations yet to come พอให้มาปัญญามานี่แต่หมอคือหมอแต่เธอคือเก็บมาเจอมาตอนน้อยปุ้ยอ๋อเนาะจะสวีนมาน้อยปุ้ยก็เฮียไพ่มาจึกต่อหาหมอคอยหมอสตาหมอป้าก็มาใช้ตะไพ่มาเพื่อมันก็มาเด็ดท่ามันเมื่อจะมาได้ตัวเนาะเปียเตอปามาทักจึกต่อปุ้ยบางเนี่ยมาเนี่ยก็เกิดนี่มาตัวมาโซ่มาก็มาที่หูไปใช้จดจึกต่อมาเปิดมาบอก
porque hoy que feel me kill ban spasrochi amenyo just que chamanya manya sasmas mas mamjonya chip kana pe ni si hasa mulit pe aba mas mama ita mai po tama si hasa uli ita mai po tama sokyu imo pi uchu porque the basrochi amenyo just ani manya mas mabanyata ska apenyo abui pe ba manya mas mabanyata ba ma put sisa sai chu que ma muy hani muy pai chu ni muy haka ke nan ko mas humas kan ba mas mam chu junya ma ke chip kan apa mas mai mai o tam ma pi ha mas ma ba mas ma pu ta cha mas ma hai chu pi ma pa ma ba ka mu chu sa pe yan da ba sai ma ke hoi da am mo chu ma to nyu ku ma to si so moi ke jo